having a cold glass of water after walking in the desert for a couple months. Um, like honestly, like just relieving. And I guess that is the core of like fixing a pain point.
Hi, welcome to Mastering Product Discovery, where I interview a guest about a product that has changed their life for the better. Today I'm talking to Nic Ben, a former NASA engineer and now an indie hacker who recently bought ShipFast, a SaaS boilerplate from Mark Liu. During this interview with Nic, I used the jobs to be done customer interview format, which is a really great way of getting into the customer pain points and understanding what conditions had to come together for the customer to purchase the product in the end. If you want to learn how to interview your customers, this is a great format to start with. This video is in two parts. We have the customer interview and then we have the analysis at the end. So if you want to skip forward to the analysis, go ahead, but I highly recommend you watch the video as well. So let's jump in. ShipFast, how would you describe that to someone? What is it?
Well, it's for technical people, I just say it's a boilerplate. For non-technical people, it's basically a starter kit for building a web app. And like, there's a lot of free boilerplates out there. So it took me like a couple months to even, like I found out about it in August, but it took me until November to buy it because I didn't see the pain point yet. Like it just seemed like some tech stack. You had a very famous person and that's why it was so successful. But like, I don't think I've changed my mind on that.
So you bought it in November, not in August. So how much did it cost you?
It was $200, one-time payment.
200.
One thing I will say, the site says you get $100 off for the next, like, I don't know, like the first like 1340 customers or 1350, but like it's always the next like 10 increment. So
Okay.
I don't know if I really appreciate that practice, but like it's always 200, but it says it's like usually something else.
Right. So November you bought it. In August you found out about it. How did you hear about it?
I think I found Mark's profile first, and then I was like, oh, clearly this guy's successful.
That's on Twitter, I assume. And so you found his profile, and then had you been following him for a while, or did you click straight in and see this ShipFast?
I think like in August I quit my job, so I was like, and I had 0 Twitter followers. So
okay,
let's see how the best do. Somehow I found him and a handful of others, and just clicked what they were building, saw what was successful, and took note.
Do you remember how you found people? Were there other people that you found around that time as well? Like who stood out?
Really, like I really don't know how it happened. Starting from like literally 0. A lot of my friends now, like from Twitter, I met in those first couple weeks. And I guess just in that flurry, like, if someone likes your tweet, like no one was liking my tweet. So if someone liked it, I would just look at who they're following or whoever's following them and be like, okay, well, here's
So you would just, so you'd get a look on their profile, find who was following them or who they were following, then go dip into the next level of profiles. Just that sort of outward, I suppose, network. Checking the nodes,
I feel it's more like organic like that. And sometimes like, a friend would like at 2 people or something. And and of course, like everyone's heard of Mark. Like he's your quintessential indie hacker living in Thailand and successful, and as he should be. Like he's been at this for years. He's like he clearly is passionate about it. Like so I feel a lot of people want that dream, and that's why he's like, I think that's a big reason why he's successful, because he can sell a story as well, like the story of the indie hacker.
And what appeals to you about what you've seen about Mark's lifestyle?
I think it's cool how it's like a blend of like an expression of creativity, and a very technical thing of just building an app. And um, what he creates is like it's very cool to look at, but like in the case of ShipFast, I mean, like man, uh, obviously with no job, $200 is not easy to part with, but I mean, I would have paid $300. Like he's really improved my life. So like to think that I could do that, like um, to get these micro projects or micro compared to like $1 million startup, but like um, to think like you can create something beautiful, you can create something technically capable, and then you can also improve lives of even if it's like 20 people, and then make a living off of that and not have to like go to these pointless meetings or like push against this behemoth of a system that like no one knows why it is like it is. No one is intent on changing it. Like I think that's really cool.
So what I'm hearing is from his lifestyle, there's this a pull towards creating things that are beautiful, using your technical skills as well, having that creative edge, satisfying that creative need you've got, and then sort of escaping from those the corporate
Right.
lifestyle, the pointless
And
meetings,
specifically
etc.
with Mark, it seems like it's really like genuinely an expression of him. Like his marketing videos, he's doing what he finds funny, and I think people can pick up on that sincerity. So I think it should be everyone's at least like professional dream to do something that feels like you're just being yourself, and if that's like a natural talent or like a marketing skill, whatever you want to call it, if it's you, I think people trust that as they should, and I feel like doing like you're at one with yourself.
Do you think that this being yourself is more attainable through the indie hacker lifestyle than other approaches?
I mean, I can only ever speak for myself. I think that any blend of multiple technical disciplines and then any blend of like multiple forms of creativity, like all together blended, like I think that's the only way I feel like I can ever stay interested. It's really hard, and I feel like I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but like I just really like getting like crushed by by some kind of problem because like um, it's something to it. And I think like with engineering, like for the past couple of years, developing like engineering skills, that's cool, but there's a finite amount to learn. Whereas like with business, with like how you price something, how you like tell a story, whatever. There's so much like interpretation that I feel like it's cool to have a mix of like not having a right answer and also having a right answer. Like I, I don't know, like it's interesting. I think at its core, it's just interesting and limitlessly interesting.
So you mentioned um, your engineering background and then coming into indie hacker. Had you thought about any other career or philosophy or lifestyle that would allow you to get that, to scratch that creative itch, to be
I
yourself?
tried a lot of different paths, but like anything technical, you would always get the same answer. It's actually exactly what you said earlier in this interview of like, look, I mean, we're hiring you for this task. Like, you need to do this task. Or like at NASA, I had a lot more freedom, but I still had to be there at 8 for no reason. Like, uh, if I can do the work at home, I'm only showing up because someone told me to. So like anywhere where there's some kind of like designated structured overhead, I don't think you can ever truly be creative. Like, um, I think anytime you're working under somebody and you don't feel like you're learning from them, I feel like that's a bad environment. I think like if you can work with people, this can like fill the gaps that each other has. But yeah, I guess I kind of realized that like any job, I'm renting my time. Like I'm only gonna make any kind of money if I show up. Whereas like I see these other routes of like if you can get the skill of running a successful business, like that can free up time. Not to like, I'll never do nothing, even if I have money. Like I'll keep building, but like I don't have to ask permission to build something I think is important or cool. I think that's like core. It's like I'd rather a free market give me permission versus like some arbitrary managerial, policy or something.
That resonates a lot. No need to ask permission to build what you think is right or going to be useful. I want to focus in on the day you purchased. So it was in November. So that was 3 months ago. $200 purchase. Where were you when you purchased that?
At my workplace of Starbucks. Just like really what set it off is my friend PL or PL Bumpard on Twitter, very popular, tweeted something, and like it was so funny because like he tweeted, "You shouldn't start from scratch." Like, and he, if he watches this is the first time he's hearing about this. And what set it off is I had actually just launched a product, and I had built it in Flutter, Flutter Web, and it was like it worked, but it looked terrible. And I tried out PL's product, and it looked just professional, and obviously, like it seemed like there was a similar amount of work in the actual coding, even the design, but just the capability wasn't there with what I was using, and like it just didn't seem like the industry standard. There are several reasons we can get into why it's so great. But I think I just like realized that, okay, look, it's not working for me. It's working for other people. There's no reason to make your own path here. Like, it just comes like, it seemed like so much came baked into it. And yeah, a ton came baked in. Like you can get a professional looking app, solid app up in like a week or two. Whereas like what I was doing, it was more work with way less payoff. Like, not going to get to the goal like that. My routine is like 5 a.m. to noon. Like first leg is this Starbucks, just headphones on. The headspace I was in was, I think I had launched. So yeah, I think I had launched in late November, and this was late November, and it was my first launch, and we kind of talked about this earlier. Like, I just think it's important to get your reps in. Just like it may not be perfect, but pull the trigger and we'll iterate. And so that had just happened, even though I didn't think it was like super ready. And the thing is, the night before, I was starting to work on a couple bugs that came up, and things were just breaking, and it was just so frustrating because like Flutter specifically isn't native to web. Like, yeah, you can build web apps, and I did, but a lot of bugs that just shouldn't happen were happening, and then that was pretty crushing. I mean, I just learned Flutter for like the past month and a half, built this whole thing, no paying customers, like at all, which is like, I mean, that sucks, but you improve a little bit at a time, but like that was just so crushing. The next day, it was a Thursday, I think, and because I launched on a Wednesday, and I just like, I was just like, you know what? Why am I trying to do this a completely different way? I mean, you want to innovate. You want to innovate in a very specific way. You don't want to innovate in the tools you use. And I think this brings up a really good point about like, there's a lot. I mean, Twitter is full of like idioms and all this stuff from like not only people who don't like actually live it, but like stuff that is too general to be helpful at all. Like one of them is like when picking a tech stack, and like everyone like accepts these, even though like there's no pushback because I mean, who wants to fight on Twitter? Which I get, but like one of them is I think I asked the question like, what tech stack should you use if you're trying to get into this? And everyone, the like go-to answer is use what you're comfortable with, use what you already know. Well, I think that's terrible advice because what I already knew, like what started this whole journey, was I was building an iOS app. Which in so many levels is a terrible idea. And so I was familiar with Swift UI and Firebase. Turns out these two technologies are not like they're not the greatest for a web app, and so I was trying to force that. Like the moment that product wasn't working, I tried to go to the web because of hardware limitations with iOS, and then on the web I tried to do React Native. I tried to force this like multiple platform capability. Then I learned Flutter, built that web app. I mean, all this was a complete waste of time. Like I think if you're trying to choose a tech stack, the actual advice should be look at what everyone else is doing and just do that. I mean, your tech stack, like it does matter. It does matter in when people want to press that buy button, they don't want to see components that they've really never seen before. You need to like part of that trust is they need to be able to recognize not only like your UI layout, like it's supposed to be intuitive, but also, I mean, the color scheme you use, the how things flow. People pick up on those really small things, and when it's a mobile framework, there's a lot of things out the box that I think Flutter's an incredible framework, just not for web. So like I'm glad I learned it, but man, you should not build a website with that. And so that advice is really it's not just unhelpful advice. I think it's bad advice. It's the opposite.
So you had this launch on the Wednesday, and then it was on the Thursday morning after that that you bought you purchased ShipFast, correct? And so that you mentioned these bugs from Flutter. Were they like bugs within Flutter itself, or were they was it a bug in your code or in Flutter's code?
Like that's the straw that broke the back. Like it wasn't my code. If it was my code, fine. Like we'll figure it out. But like it would just things just wouldn't work. Like it's Flutter Web is not for production yet. And again, it like really sucks because that developer experience is incredible. If anyone's ever used Flutter, like it's really cool. But like anytime I want to build a web app, like I reach for Flutter. But yeah, like choosing your technology and choosing like your design scheme and all this, I just feel like the past 6 months has been like this journey of like tearing apart whatever ego I had and like how I know better than the industry or whatever, whether it's like a better tool or a better tech stack or whatever. Like you don't like you may know better in like a specific aspect, but yeah, like follow the crowd until you see something that like is that you can actually make a difference in, and it's not something as fundamental as a reliability of your product,
So you had that incredible frustration from this bug and this launch, and you couldn't fix those issues that were setting you back. Do you think they cost you customers? Do you think what were do you remember what the bugs were?
It was specifically with the statewide management of Flutter, whereas like I should have been getting updates from it was like a subscription to a database collection, and I should have been getting updates and I wasn't. And like sometimes these are the worst kinds of bugs where sometimes they work. I'd rather it always not work than sometimes work because there are no error messages. True developer hell. I don't think it cost me customers because there was no customers to cost. That's exactly why like launching was painful because, I mean, if anyone saw the app, in fact, I think you and I like were talking at the time, and maybe you saw like that launch. It looked like a school project, which is exactly why like you need to push because like not only did I see those technical faults, but like I look at it and I'm like, man, I don't trust this website. Like, yeah, like that launching was totally the right move, even though it really sucked. because a month later I had a real framework, and I knew it much better. Like that was totally worth it. Um, yeah, I don't really like believe in regret because like that sucks so much. I'll never like anytime I get fed up with like Next.js or whatever you're using for ShipFast, like this gives purpose to what you're doing now. This is the best path, like um, for you. And the same way with like a career, like it's really hard. Like I've seen everything else, and I know like I don't regret trying those because I know how bad those were.
And so when you were looking at ShipFast, or just before you purchased it, was there anything else that you were thinking that was you'd be able to change to? Were there any other considerations at that point?
No, I guess I was just like exhausted. By that point, I had learned 4 different platforms, and I was just hoping that this would work. And so the $200, I saw, well, like this is an investment. If this can save me months of learning these other stacks that have only brought pain, and plus, like it's vetted. Like it's vetted by Mark. It's vetted by these other guys I respect. I mean, like I said, like I thought PL's product was super cool. It is super cool. Plug Snowball, but like I saw that and I was like, I could get the basic framework of this and then build off of this good foundation just like he did.
So you didn't consider any other platforms. You went straight ahead and bought ShipFast because it was vetted. People had trusted this. I suppose by that point, I think there's a few thousand people have downloaded it by now, haven't there? And so you had that proof of concept, I suppose.
Yeah, and also by this point, like I had investigated and learned a lot of other stacks. So like I was very confident about this decision about like, well, even if this stack sucks, like I didn't want to learn this because I was not only was I familiar with these other tools, but like anytime you see like a knock on it, you're like, oh well, I'm avoiding whatever bad thing these devs are talking about, like with Vercel or with Next or whatever. But I mean, I guess just so much goes into the user experience, way more than making a functional app. I mean, yeah, way more than that. And to like this stack is so big, like my Mac Air can barely, like, sometimes it has a struggle running it, but like it was because I tried all these other lighter solutions that, okay, you need that kind of size because it's better for the user. It's better for the graphics, the performance, the speed. All these things.
So Flutter was the big one you were trying at that point, and then previous to that, you were using iOS, SwiftUI, and Firebase. Were there any other aspects, any other tech stacks that you tried up to that point?
I did do React Native between my SwiftUI and Flutter. But again, like I was trying to build a web app. Like I was just trying to build a code base where I could serve it on all these different devices, which like anything in theory sounds good. I mean, I do feel like a lot of people don't try and do that, and maybe they should, because like if you can use the same code base, any bug you fix in one, you can fix elsewhere. If your web app can be a good mobile app, then I mean, why not launch? Yeah, just so much headache.
So you bought so Wednesday you launched. You had the bugs to fix in the evening. Then Thursday you were like, in Starbucks, I'm done. I want to get rid of these problems. I don't want these problems affecting my next launch and slowing me down and causing frustration.
I actually think I launched Tuesday now that I think about it. And it was like Tuesday was too busy with the launch. Wednesday I started the bugs. And yeah.
Got it. So Tuesday launch, Wednesday bugs, Thursday purchase. Had you been thinking about buying ShipFast between I think it was August that you came across it and November, or was this immediately it came to mind when you were struggling with
I
these
guess
bugs?
it was just in my back pocket, just in case it came up. I think the critical thing, like, I mean, switching a tech stack right after you just built a product is gutting. Like, few things can crush a spirit like that. But I think the core was I realized like there were so many features I saw in these competing, not competing, but like other products that launched, like email support and um, like analytics built in, and and like there's just and styling libraries and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, just to set these things up is like weeks long, and you could set them up wrong. And I had realized I had set up several things wrong. I was trying to make things work. Like, I think just, yeah, back my head. And when it came time to play the card, I was like, look, I just hope this works. And yeah, it does work. It does work pretty well. Pretty much anything I build on the web will be this stack.
So you're sticking with this now. You're pretty content with the ShipFast set of, or well, the complete data
Yeah,
that they offer.
and I think that like, I'm grateful. Like, it feels so weird. It's like, dude, I already paid you, and yet I'm still grateful for it. Like, which is the beauty of it, right? Like, I got a product, and I'm very satisfied with it, which is like a bonus. And like, he got money, and he like legit improved a developer's life way more. Yeah, so like, I think that's really cool. Like, that's what the dream is, right?
How would you describe this experience, the experience of ShipFast to a friend?
I guess like having a cold glass of water after walking in the desert for a couple months. Like, honestly, like, just relieving. Like, and I guess that is the core of like fixing a pain point. But just relieving to actually like build something, learn it, really give a lot of time. Like, I gave another month for this. I like, it's really hard to learn a new stack. You got to learn every API call. You have to, every line of code you write. Luckily, I was a little familiar with React, so like, well, I was pretty familiar with React, so I jumped in. But yeah, just relieving, for sure.
I want to get back to the coffee shop moment again when you're about to buy. Did you have any anxiety, any things going through your mind that were like, maybe this isn't quite right?
I had, the only anxiety is like, man, I hope I don't blow $200 when I don't really have that money. But thinking, yeah, I thought in terms of like, well, what do you call the last month? Like, I didn't live off of $200 in the last month. So we need to get to work now. And I think a big moment for me was like, I should have it tattooed. Like, you got to get your reps in. You should just, jump in. But I realized at this point, is it had been 4 months, maybe 5 months. I can't count. I think 4 months. It had been 4 months of my reps were just learning different stacks. I wasn't actually getting reps in at building startups, talking to users, pricing, advertising, marketing, whatever. The reps were in a completely like useless area if you're not going to use that stack. So I just I don't know. I felt the pressure. I knew I had to build something professional looking if people are going to pay. Like, the thing I built worked. It did everything it said it did. It just didn't matter though. Like, it just didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. It didn't matter, you mean as in for customers?
If you don't trust, like, and I don't blame people. I think there's a lot of grifters. There's a lot of people who are like, a lot of people trying to sell you something, especially when all your friends are founders. But I mean, there's a lot of people who, like, at least you trust those guys. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter who will just throw something out, and you don't know this person. Everyone knows that there's a lot of like shitty products on the internet. Let alone like deceitful marketing. There's a lot. You're fighting against a lot. So you have to build that trust out the gate. Yeah, if it looks like a school project, no, you're not going to have that. Though, like that's where the experience comes in because I mean, you also don't want to fall into the trap of like building all these features so that people like trust you or whatever, and then like it's too complex. It's not actually what a customer wants. So I mean, there's totally a balance. I guess I'm just more referencing like the actual tech you use, contrary to your popular Twitter belief, totally matters. Like, why would that not matter? That's what the product is. But to a point, and it's to that point of like, yeah, if it just reliably works, and then if it looks familiar enough for people to trust it, I think those are the only two criteria.
Gotcha. And so you had, apart from the cash, you had no worries about buying that product,
Yeah.
buying ShipFast. There was nothing else there, no other concerns around, am I going to be able to use this or work with it or fit this into
No, all
my
those
life in
concerns have
some way?
been hammered out from taking all these paths I knew were wrong. So this one seemed like the best bet.
So yeah, back to that moment, Starbucks again. What was I think I know the answer to this, but what was the progress or change that you wanted in your life? How did you see the moment, the next week, the next month, the next 6 months looking
Um,
different?
I think my goal is I just wanted to build something where when I launched, I was done with it, and I didn't want to have to learn another tech stack. Um, and so, I saw this. I saw that a lot of the products I liked, it was built with, and these people don't use any other tech stack. So, okay, I think that was the change. Like, I just wanted those two satisfied. December, I learned it. January, well, yeah, and how I learned tech stacks is I just built a product with it. So December, I rebuilt what I had just launched in November. Um, and then, I mean, it was crazy. I posted a video of I was ever proud of. Honestly, it's kind of sad to say because like it looked like something I would buy. And then people who I had already launched to like reached out interested or like and interested is not a conversion, but still that's more than nothing. Um, and I think that directly told me what I needed to know about. Oh, okay, like this is what. Honestly, I mean, the look is more important than the function. I think if you still like, you needed to deliver on the function, or else they're just gonna get a refund. But like, I think if you can sell, like I've literally seen products that are super simple, but like they're just aesthetic, and that's the product, and they do well, and more power to them. So I think like um, before any developer thinks like a developer and thinks in scalability or like what's the best developer experience, I think that's fine, but you need to make sure that whatever you build, you can style well and it can flow well. Um, yeah, so that's the change I wanted because my styling was terrible and it was not flowing well.
What is it you're working on at the moment, and what problem are you trying to solve for
Right,
people?
so I'm still even figuring out my 50 character pitch. It's a way to basically launch from one place and get support, get support, and all that in like one click. So like, there's a lot of different pain points here. One is there's like everyone and their mom has a new directory. It's not just Product Hunt anymore. Um, and if you want to launch to those, you got to keep track of where you launched. Everyone on launch day always DMs a ton of people. Um, which is cool. Like that's the standard. They post about it. All this is great, but DMing a lot of people is not only a pain, but you can like when I launched like a week ago, like I got rate limited, um, and so I was like, man, like if anyone's been on Twitter for more than a month, like I'm sure you've gotten a DM to upvote, and if you know the person, like it just seems like what you do. Um, However, like to do that already sucks for Product Hunt, and then now that we have all these other directories, um, You can't do that with everyone. You may post on Reddit, you may post on Hacker News. The first votes you get are the most important. That's how their algorithms work. So, you had all this basically, and then you have cool stuff, and then you want to be able to keep all your projects in one space. You do have like founder sites where you list all your projects and links, but they are one of the people who say it's an aesthetic. Like that's one of their pitches. But I think that the real magic would be if you just combined all three of those problems of having too many directories, of reaching out to people and getting that support. And I mean, these are the broad pain points, but I feel so confident about these because for the first time, I know this is a pain because it's happened to me. I know that. This isn't some speculation. Basically, it's a way to broadcast without having to DM all these people, without having to make a founder site, and being able to list in these directories and get support like that. So the exact details, I'm still working out, but I'm building last night built a lot. I'm hoping to no waitlist yet, but I'm hoping to launch within a week or two. Learn my lesson, ship fast, of course, ship fast. I'm iterating very, very quickly. So right now it's a very basic, and then I have a handful of people. We're going to just see if it even solves the pain point. And I think if it doesn't, I'll drop it and move on to the next thing. But this is something my heart's in. So, I think there's something here.
Cool. So people are struggling with posting to many directories and getting support for those directories. Is that right?
In this, with my platform, you'll make connections, but they're kind of you sign up to be broadcasted to each other. It's not like followers. It's we kind of enter this agreement where which you already do on Twitter, all these Let's Connect people and the follow for follow. I know on the surface, everyone says these guys are annoying, which they are. They're clogging up your Twitter feed, but there's a reason there's so many people. It's because people want votes on their product time, because even though you may not be interested in the product, first of all, it's great to support someone. You're betting on the person, maybe not the product, but by betting on that person, which is what lists will do, you get them the exposure to people who actually may need that product.
Got it. I'm interested to see what happens and what comes of this. So 2 weeks, you reckon? We can hold you to that by the end of February.
Maybe even before that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how often I show up to that coffee shop and for how long. And I think that's the function of how quickly Launch List launches.
Amazing, awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking us through ShipFast today, Nic.
Right. That was a great conversation with Nic. He really took us through his whole journey and thought process and his actual behavior, importantly, of that journey from finding the ShipFast boilerplate all the way through to purchasing it. So we got some great insights coming from that. Here we have our progress forces diagram as per usual. There is the push of situation and the magnetism of solution being ShipFast. When those forces are larger than the habit present and the anxiety of solution, change happens. So that's how you can read this set of insights that we've got. So let's have a look at the push of situation. So this is Nic's situation as it was previous to purchasing the product. So here was a big one. He had some bugs he could not fix. There were bugs outside of his control in the toolset he was using in Flutter, and it sounded very stressful to deal with. He just launched a SaaS. He'd had low success launching that. He felt like he'd wasted some time with that, and he had 0 paying users from that. So this was the situation that sort of he was coming from. And what did he want? What was he hoping to get from buying ShipFast? Well, he wanted to build things quickly, and that seemed to be an important thing. And it's something that is on the ShipFast fast marketing site. He wanted a proven tech stack that works without bugs. So he was, as I said, stung with the Flutter bugs, and he just wanted something that was going to work, and he was going to be able to build a solution to problems that he thought customers had. So he wanted to use tech that he was already familiar with. So he'd already invested this time, I think it was in 4 different tech stacks. So here was a solution that could use some of that skills that he'd already learned. He wanted to build something people trust. He was, he said something along the lines of the project that he had looked like a school project. And so he wanted something that looked professional. He wanted to come out with a product that looked shiny, that people would purchase. This was a really interesting one. So I can free up time and effort to learn business skills. So he spoke about doing reps, and those reps were mostly, as I could tell, in the product development space. So in actually building the product and coding, probably working on assets, etc. But he didn't and wasn't doing the reps in business skills. He wasn't learning how to speak to customers. He wasn't learning how to market. Or do sales, and that's an important component of the lifestyle that he wanted to do and to have. So I don't have to start my next project from scratch. He wanted to hit the ground running, and so I don't have to be doing a lot of ongoing maintenance after launch. So those bugs came out of his previous launch just after it was launched. So I guess people were going through it and using it and then discovering these bugs. And he didn't like that idea. So he wanted a future where launches were low to maintain post-launch. I also want to pick out some things that he said about Mark and Mark's lifestyle that seemed to appeal to him as well. So I can express myself genuinely and creatively. This is he felt Mark offered this and exemplified this through his tweets. And he also wanted to be able to run his own schedule and escape the pointless meetings and the bureaucracy that he had in his previous job at a big corporation or a big organization. So the anxiety of ShipFast for Nic, there wasn't a lot there. Didn't sound like there was a lot. He was concerned about the price, concerned about the return on investment. It was a $200 purchase, but I think he's been very happy about that since paying it. And I think the low anxiety comes down to Mark being very accessible. You can access him via Twitter, and Nic felt that he could get in contact with them should he need to. And there's a heap of reviews on the website of people that Nic knew, and it sounded like he even got a recommendation for ShipFast prior to that. So that really lowers the anxiety. And then finally, the habit of the present. So Nic had been using Flutter. He'd tried a heap of tech stacks before that, and sounded like getting a bit burned out with learning all these new tech stacks. And he was also working from Starbucks. Maybe that's not so important, but it's something we're going to capture here, as we could have dived into that a bit more, I think, during the call. So what's next? What can you do with all this analysis? Well, a couple ideas that come out. Mark could look into some different marketing channels, could start targeting Flutter users, but particularly if he goes and does more of these interviews and finds that Flutter is a real cause of concern for people. Maybe could put copy on the website that speaks about this being a tried and tested solution, and it's suitable for people that are tired of bugs and really do just want to ship and get stuff out there and are not bothered by the tech stack that they are working on. And there's the possibility for new product development here as well. Maybe offering more options, more UI components, getting people up to speed faster, maybe different workflows that are common in SaaS products. So that's the roundup of Nic's experience with ShipFast and our analysis. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, subscribe below. Leave any comments if you've used ShipFast as well, and if any of this resonates with you. And I hope to see you in the next video. See you later.